Good afternoon and welcome to the latest in results for the Concours Virtual in aid of UNICEF and presented by Haggerty. Today we have Class O, the Junior Concours, which is for pedal and mechanical cars for children. I'm Jeff Love, I'm the co-chair of the Concours. To my right is David Lillywhite, also co-chair, and joining us is Andy Reid, who was the class's chief judge. Good afternoon, gents.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Junior Concours, sponsored by R&T Crew, which is a kids club from the editors of Road and Track, a subscription box monthly to ignite the imaginations of 6 to 10-year-olds. Thank you very much, R&T Crew. So, David, tell me, without further ado, the people's choice, third, second and first, who got the votes?
So these are the votes for the people's choice. They come via the website and social media from anyone who's viewed the cars. And we always get hundreds, thousands of votes. This is no exception. Some great ones in here. So I'll go straight into the results. Third place, the 1949 Murray Torpedo, owned by Lauren Holber. This is a really lovely thing. And believe it or not, it was found in a scrap heap after Hurricane Katrina. So hell of a thing that it's been restored. So congratulations, Lauren. Second place, the Steelcraft 1935 Pontiac, again owned by Lauren Holber. He entered 2 cars and wow, he did well. So congratulations. In first place, we have the 1927 Bugatti Baby. Now this is owned by Pierre-Henri Raffanel. Now, if you recognize his name, he was an F1 driver. He was in 17 races, I think, off the top of my head. But you'll also, in the last few years, you'll have known him through getting the fastest time in the Bugatti Veyron. He did 268 miles an hour. So he's got the Veyron and he's got this tiny little Bugatti Baby, which I think is fantastic. So congratulations. I'll hand back to Jeff.
Thank you, David. Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it? Lauren Holber, he's a big collector of classic cars as well as the children's models. He was our winner in the Detroit class as well, wasn't he? So thanks, Lauren, for putting your cars in. And as you say, fantastic result for the Bugatti Baby. It's a great car, isn't it? So tell me then, Andy, what criteria were you using when it comes to the judges' result?
Well, Massimo and I spoke about this with one of my co-judges, and we decided that what we would do for the judging for this class is do less about necessarily quality of the restoration, but more about the story of the cars and how they were used. In every example, all our cars were used by children, which is what they were designed to be used for in the first place. And so our first, second, and third were all cars that were driven sometimes in anger by their original owners, who were very small people. So that's what we chose to do. We ones with the most compelling stories, which were also significant cars, were the ones we chose. Okay,
well, that's great. So if you could take us through the results, please, starting with third place.
1, 2, 3. So our third place car, Jeff, was the Bugatti Brescia Baby, 1920, and it's owned by Jeffrey Vogel. And what we liked about this car is, it's a very early Bugatti, and it's really nicely done. It's powered by a 1-cylinder gas engine with a planetary gearbox, and it's actually a running, driving car. And his daughter, he got it for his daughter. He found it in a junk shop and bought it for her. And she terrorized the garden and drove it into town, in the town they live in, literally on the street and everything else, and drove it until she couldn't get in it anymore. You know, it reportedly had terrible brakes. And so when she couldn't brake it fast, she just turn it really tight and basically spin it to turn it out. So she really, really drove the wheels off the thing. We thought it was just a fun, wonderful story on using a car for what it was used for, what it should have been used for in the first place. So that's our third place. Our second place winner was the Austin J40, owned by the National Motor Museum. And the reason we liked this was twofold. First of all, it's an unrestored car. Second, the story behind these cars, a lot of these things have been restored by now at this point, and there's a company in restoring them and rebuilding new ones actually now as well. But we like this because the story behind the reason the car even existed, it was created to help miners who were out of work and couldn't work anymore in the mines because of a lung disease they had gotten, and the British government had created a scheme by which they would be employed doing something else. And Len Lord from Austin created this idea to build these cars, and it was supposed to be a short-term export to US only thing, and it turned out that they built 30,000 of these odd cars and helped a lot of people in the process, and they literally flew off the shelves. And this is the seventh from the last car built in the whole run. And we just really like the whole story behind the car, as well as the presentation of the car, which has just not been messed with. And they specifically did not restore this car because they wanted it to show what it was, not what it is a restored car. It's got a VIN plate. It's got headlights that go on. It's got a boot. It's got a bonnet that opens. It's really quite neat. And our first place car is kind of not surprising because it was also people's choice. It's the Bugatti Baby, 1927 Bugatti Baby, owned by Pierre Henry Raffinel. And he bought it because he bought it for his kids. He bought it also so he could have the slowest and the fastest Bugatti. And so now he has both. And what's fascinating, we like this car a lot just because it literally was a car built by Bugatti in period for people's children that was sold in Bugatti dealerships from 1927 to 1930, I believe. And it's actually a real Bugatti car eligible for Bugatti events and everything else. And they're fascinating things. And so that was our first.
Great choice.
Yeah, no, it's a great car, and as you say, it was three of your cars were all built by manufacturers.
Yes, and that's what we liked about it, is that the tie to the real cars was also. I mean, the crazy thing about the J40 is that it's got a VIN plate. It's got an Austin VIN plate on it, which is crazy. I mean, and it's got a unique serial number. They're all serial numbered out. They're not just a plastic stamp thing like a modern one of these would be. It's its own special thing. And same with the Bugatti. The Bugatti's got a Bugatti tag on it, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah,
so.
Great choices, and the criteria you used of being the story behind the car, I think is an excellent one, for us today. Thank you very much, Andy, for your chairmanship of the class. Thank you to the judges within the class for their deliberations. This is a concours which is in aid of UNICEF, so please remember that if you get the opportunity to donate, go to our Just Giving page. That would be really appreciated. Thank you. Thank you again to Haggerty, who made this all happen as our presenting sponsor, and for this particular class to R&T Crew. Subscribe to their children's box. It's great to have something come through the door every month. And please look forward to the next classes as they come through. There's a lot more cars coming, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Thank you very much, and goodbye.